In the last few years, AI has fundamentally changed how we work, how we make decisions, and how fast the ground moves under every organization. AI is already in the boardroom. 9 in 10 directors are using it to prepare for board meetings, often without a use policy in place. Today, we're showing you what comes next. A vision for AI and governance built for the people who carry the weight of the decisions. And the work behind those decisions has never mattered more.
People make the boards, but governance continuity and institutional knowledge shouldn't depend fully on the people who've been around the longest. That's where AI comes in. It should be built into the system, so directors have a solid foundation to decide what comes next.
But when you peel it all back, it gets down to the data and making sure the data is as accurate, credible, and complete as possible so information can be created and board members can operate with knowledge as they help guide organizations toward their future.
The stakes are real, the complexity keeps growing, and the tools that govern board decisions need to be worthy of the moment. Everything we do is centered on helping boards govern effectively. The board sets the pace for an organization's success, and our work is to elevate every part of how that work gets done, so every board can function at a higher level and every organization can make a bigger difference.
For 20 years, most board software has done one thing: organize information. Store it, sort it, file it away. We've moved past that years ago, putting AI to work inside the platform boards already run on. The question now isn't how a board manages its documents, it's how AI shows up in the room where the most consequential decisions get made. That's the conversation we're starting today, and it's the biggest thing we've ever put in front of this market.
Please welcome our CEO, Marc Huffman.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Every day, the organizations that run on onboard AI are making decisions that matter. Healthcare systems deciding how to best serve their communities. Universities shaping what the next generation learns. Nonprofits fulfilling critical missions. Public companies making decisions that employees, shareholders, and the communities around them depend upon. 7,000 boards, over 175,000 directors, committee chairs, corporate secretaries, and executive leaders. That is who trusts onboard AI. Hi, I'm Marc Huffman, CEO of OnBoard, and what we'll show you today is a fundamental shift in how AI shows up in the boardroom. Before I walk you through what we're building, I want to make the case for why we're building it in this way. We have been running a board effectiveness survey for 6 years now. Every year we ask boards to tell us how their members are contributing. And every year we get the same answer. 90% of boards report that at least one of their members are not contributing effectively. The number has not moved in 6 straight years. And in that time, the technology around governance has changed dramatically. Yet despite all that technology, the needle has not moved. To make matters worse, some companies are even offering an AI board member. We think that gets the question wrong, strategically and philosophically. If you expect AI to be a functioning board member, you're missing the point of what a board is. Boards exist because of human judgment, where their ability to make critical decisions is grounded in accountability and their creativity and ability to see around corners. And in their collaboration with the other leaders in the room, those pieces create great human-led governance. However, there's an invisible liability. I'm sure you've been in a meeting where everyone is scratching their head, digging through past materials, trying to reconstruct a decision from 3 quarters ago. When did we last talk about committee structure? What happened in that comp meeting? Today, all those past decisions and unresolved questions live in a person's memory. And every time a board seat turns over, some of that memory walks out the door. For over 20 years, board management systems have done a good job of organizing your historical data. But up until now, those systems couldn't understand any of it. The system had access to every agenda, book, set of minutes, and still couldn't answer, what did we decide and why? So what happened instead? Your board turned to consumer AI models to bridge the gap. This year, our board effectiveness survey found that 92% of board directors have used AI for board work in the past 6 months. 63% of boards have no formal AI policy, and 38% have no guidelines in place at all. That data tells us something else. The tools directors are reaching for, every one of them, including ours, have not been giving directors what they actually need. Insights relevant to their expertise, institutional memory to serve as the connective tissue between past decisions and present decisions. Directors are turning to consumer AI models because, until now, there has been no safe, secure alternative built for your most sensitive information. Imagine every director on your board working inside a secure AI system, approved by your governance team, governed by your policy, inside the perimeter that your IT already trusts. A system that proactively surfaces insights personalized to each board member's expertise, drawn from the same wellspring of context of your board's history. Imagine every meeting your board runs making the next one smarter because the system recalled what happened and built upon that memory. Every person around that table, whether a 9-year veteran director or one who just joined last quarter, operating from the same context at every meeting. We're building that. And now our Chief Product Officer, Tim Adair, will walk you through what it looks like. The wellspring of your board's history in the hands of every person at the table. Every director amplified. Please welcome Tim Adair.
Thank you, Mark. Every board meeting follows a life cycle. It starts weeks before anyone sits down at the table, when you and your board chair shape the agenda. The cycle continues through your management team preparing their sections, through every director walking in ready to make decisions, through the meeting itself. And it doesn't end until the follow-up from that meeting is closed and the next agenda is taking shape. We built and are building capabilities for every stage of that life cycle, all of them designed around the same 4 rules. 1, onboard AI never trains on your data. The privacy and confidentiality of your board's record is sacrosanct. 2, onboard AI obeys the permissions your governance framework already defines. If a director isn't authorized to see something, onboard AI will not retrieve it. Number 3, every answer comes from your board's actual record. Real minutes, real documents, real discussions. When the system doesn't have enough information, it says so. And 4, onboard AI surfaces institutional memory from the board's historical documents. The director applies the judgment. Onboard AI will not and cannot make a decision on your board's behalf. With those rules in place, let me walk you through what governance looks like when intelligence, what we call onboard governance IQ, is connected to every stage of the meeting lifecycle. When you're contemplating the next board meeting's agenda, it starts with pulling in what came before. Building your agenda usually goes one of 2 ways. Either you duplicate last quarter's agenda with a few titles changed, or you start an email chain to determine strategic topics for the next meeting. Both of those options leave a lot of room for error. So with onboard AI, we're rebuilding how an agenda is created by pulling in unresolved topics from last quarter, Those questions are now dynamically resurfaced. It picks up what was left over and surfaces it when you're shaping topics for the next meeting. As you can see in the draft agenda, OnBoard AI proactively suggests you didn't tie off the EU financial headwinds discussion. It's time to follow up. As an agenda creator, you have the choice. You can say yes, add it, or you can decline it, and it goes away. That's how you keep the thread going between meetings while retaining control of your agenda. OnBoard AI hands you a draft with suggestions that reflect what your board's been working on, and you refine from there. The judgment is still yours. For your executive contributors, preparing the materials for a board meeting can be a grueling exercise of remembering every discussion item, every question raised that didn't get an answer. It's been 2 months since the last board meeting. A lot has happened in that time. Asking them to reconstruct drains a lot of their valuable time. That's why we're building a whole new way for contributors to surface what's important to the board. When your CFO is working on the financial section, going back through their notes, trying to recall what questions were raised in the last meeting, which ones got a satisfactory answer, and which ones need a follow-up. With OnBoard AI, your CFO will see which specific questions and topics were raised in the last meeting relevant to the financials. You see here that it's alerting your CFO to anticipate questions from the Board of EU Exposure. Perhaps your CFO already knew this. Perhaps OnBoard AI becomes a helpful reminder to prepare some answers. That through line provides continuity and credibility for your CFO and every other executive contributor preparing for the next board meeting. Now let's talk about the moment your directors receive those board books and prepare for the upcoming meeting. In whatever form they receive these materials, today every director gets the same 200 pages, in the same order with the same summary. And increasingly, they're turning to public chatbots to guide and personalize their preparation. What if they didn't have to? With OnBoard AI, we're grounding the review in 3 layers of context. OnBoard AI will understand the industry in which your organization sits and how market movements might influence your decisions. OnBoard AI knows your board's own record, the deliberations and decisions that led to this moment. And it understands the expertise and unique perspective that each of your directors bring to the table. These layers of intelligence combined create the most proactive AI assistant found anywhere in the board meeting space. What you see here is that OnBoard AI already knows what is of interest to your director. OnBoard AI understands their expertise is in international law and M&A. It shows them items that need their attention, letting them instantly click to those locations in the book. It says, here's the European expansion update you asked about in March. It's on page 47. Shows them threads where their expertise would provide the most value. It knows the agenda items coming up relevant to their experience. Here's something to ask about. The indemnification language in the real estate lease ties to a concern your general counsel raised in committee. It knows topics they raised in previous meetings and which of those are being resolved in this month's materials. Here's the vendor risk section you flagged in the last meeting, and it appears again in this month's IT update. This experience OnBoard AI provides looks different for each director. Your first-year director sees a briefing designed to bring them up to speed. Your 10-year veteran sees the threads they have been tracking for years. Same board book, but a completely new way to prepare for that meeting. And that gives every director on your board what's been hardest to come by, the space to focus on what they alone can bring to the room and walk into the meeting fully present. OnBoard AI surfaces this context. Your directors apply their own judgment. One thing you don't hear from anyone else in board management today, the ability to not only search across your entire board history, but also compare your upcoming meeting against each board book you published in the past. So, for the first time, we're giving directors the capability to compare board book to board book. Your directors can compare financial reports between meetings to see trends over time, understand what actually happened from 3 years ago to last year to today. Your director can ask, what changed between last quarter's financial report and this one? and get a side-by-side what's new, what's changed. And when they ask OnBoard AI, they get answers drawn from minutes, committee reports, and board book content across every meeting that it touched. That history is the institutional knowledge your board has been building for years. Until now, it's been trapped in documents nobody reads. With OnBoard AI, it walks into the next meeting with you. Let's fast forward to the meeting itself. You're in the boardroom. For the longest time, your directors have relied on the notes they took in advance of the meeting and on their own memory in the moment to recall what they wanted to raise. When OnBoard AI is there in the meeting with them and has been there every step of the way during their preparation, your director gets a gentle nudge when the topic they wanted to ask a question about comes up. You wanted to ask about impact on the expansion timeline if hiring slips. This is a good moment to ask. That changes something we hear about often from board leaders. Directors who tend to be quieter, the ones who are a little more reserved, they have something vital to say about the business. OnBoard AI prompts them to ask the question nobody else wants to ask, helping them bring their expertise to the table. Now let's bring the meeting cycle full circle. Today, we rely on humans in the room to do everything at once, be part of the discussion, make decisions, recognize when an action is being assigned, remember who agreed to do what, and follow up on it 3 months later. That's a lot to carry and a lot to lose track of. Earlier this year, our governance insights research confirmed this is a big challenge for boards. Decision follow-through is one of the top gaps boards report having little to no visibility into between meetings. When OnBoard AI is in the room, as the discussion is happening, it recognizes when an action is being assigned. It knows the owner, it knows what's due, and creates an action with an assignee. Your board chair asks the audit committee to coordinate with the CISO on a vendor risk assessment and bring a full report to the next meeting. OnBoard AI catches it in the moment. The action is logged and the due date is set for the next meeting. 2 weeks before the next meeting, the action's owner gets a nudge. For example, your vendor risk report is due in 2 weeks. Here's the original context from the board chair's request. This brings us back to the beginning. When the next meeting's agenda is being shaped, the follow-up is already there, tagged and suggested as an agenda topic, ready to approve. Nobody had to ask whatever happened with that, because OnBoard AI already has the answer on the next agenda. Your management team confirms the action. Your leaders apply their judgment. OnBoard AI makes sure nothing falls through the cracks. Everything I just walked you through happens inside a single meeting cycle. What happens when your board has access to OnBoard AI for a year? Over 3? Anusha Srijeyanathan, our Chief Customer Officer, has been watching that question play out with our customers. Here she is.
Thank you, Tim. Hi, everyone. I talk to customers every day who face the challenges we've laid out. Here's just a few of them. We're trying to figure out what happened to the institutional knowledge that walked out the door and where that file would be now. One of our concerns is secure sharing of information. Where is this going? Is somebody going to see it somewhere at some time? Our directors are potentially pulling information into public AI platforms, and that really bothers us. And they're going to use AI anyways. I know what this future with OnBoard AI will mean for their governance. Every year, boards turn over. A director retires, a new one joins. The new director inherits years of governance history they've never been a part of. Strategic decisions made before they arrived, recurring debates they don't know the backstory on, relationships between topics that only make sense if you've been in the room for the last 3 years. Today, that new director gets a welcome packet, bylaws, the strategic plan, maybe the last 2 sets of minutes. Hundreds of pages with no guide to what matters. They sit through their first meeting quietly, they ask a question that was resolved 8 months ago, and they feel like a passenger. It takes most new directors 6 months before they feel like a contributing member of the board. With OnBoard AI, before their first meeting, your new director says, "Catch me up on the last 2 years." And OnBoard AI does, surfacing major decisions, open threads, recurring themes, strategic priorities, all built into a brief that covers years of institutional memory. That director walks into their first meeting with context that used to take 6 months to build. They ask informed questions, they contribute from day one, and the rest of your board takes notice. And what OnBoard AI does for each director compounds across the whole board. We've seen this play out with boards using OnBoard AI, who in their own words have said, the AI tools save real prep time. Decisions feel more structured, engagement has improved, and the whole experience is intuitive and efficient. Every meeting your board runs makes the next one smarter. A topic that surfaces in the room becomes attract action and arrives on the next agenda automatically. A question raised in March shows up on June's brief, personalized to the director who brought it up. Your board's knowledge moves from living in each person's memory to living as a wellspring from which every member of the board can draw. One meeting becomes a thread. 12 meetings woven together paints a rich picture of how your boards run. And now, to close off this event, please welcome back our CEO, Marc Huffman.
Thank you, Anusha. We're excited for you to experience the future of OnBoard AI. Rather than build a future where AI replaces directors around the table, we're building intelligence that backs every human in the room. A proactive assistant with full context of every meeting that came before and every other artifact of governance, the strategy, the policies, the financial plan. Over the coming months, you'll see the evolution of OnBoard AI take shape. You'll experience it in the preparedness of your new director who joins this fall. You'll witness each director show up ready to engage, be fully present, and apply their wisdom to the critical questions at hand. We open today with the belief that boards exist because of human judgment. Everything you've seen is in service of that. Every director backed by the institutional memory, the context, and the tools to bring their full judgment to the table. If you're not yet one of our customers, join us. Come help carve the future of human-led governance. That's what we're building, and we are just getting started.